tires. Start your engines!
Yellow's out. Man's just about outran him. And he busted her out.
Hello, everybody. Episode number 44. We are in the studio on a Monday, July 10th, 2023, coming off a race weekend. Apologize for the lack of episodes we've been putting out. We've been very busy working on race cars, keeping up with race cars.
Yeah.
Basically just getting them ready for race weekend, trying to work on them, be faster, and all of that. And just life stuff. Life's been in the way, so this has kind of been pushed off a little bit. Not intentionally, but we're back. It's good to be back.
Yes.
Good to be with you guys. And, yeah. So, Dakota. Actually, sorry. It's been too long. I'm not used to this. The green flag is out, and we're ready to roll 3 wide with DJG. Dakota, how are you?
Doing good. Like you said, came off a race weekend. Didn't have the best night of the year.
None of us did.
No, it was rough. Probably the roughest night as a team. But car ran really well. Practice and qualifying didn't feel great. Track was very slick. We had just gotten rain showers that morning.
Monsoon. It poured.
Yeah. It was. I'm not surprised that we got the racing in, but I am surprised at how well the track was, given that it's rained before and the track's been flooded essentially. But track was very slick. Car did not handle well. Made some adjustments after qualifying. Went out to run the feature. It was a 50-lap feature, second one of the year. Hope we don't have any more big features like that. It's exhausting, but car ran really, really well. Probably the best that it's run all year. I don't even know what lap I was on, but my left rear control arm essentially just gave out, and my left rear tire now has a lot of camber in it. So we got to get that fixed. But it was just disappointing because the car felt so great. I felt like I was keeping up with the pack. Could have finished a lot better. I think I ended up 24th out of almost 30 cars. It was just, I was very frustrated, but overall, I mean, I'm proud of the car, prior to giving out, but ready to work on it, get it back and ready to go for the next race. How are you doing? How was your race?
Well, it was a long day for sure. I've spent time getting the car fixed back from hitting the wall. Mm-hmm. Got it fixed best I could. I reran some wires just to get them out of the way. That way, God forbid me hit the wall again. I don't risk anything getting pinched. I'm very fortunate that none of the wires got pinched when I did hit the wall.
Right.
So I got some of those moved, I got all of them moved. And I fixed some other issues. Got some new tires. Shout out Kyle Evans. So I was excited to see how the car would feel with fresh tires on it, because this is the first time I put tires on the car since I got it. Believe it or not, I've been able to make do with what I've had.
Yeah.
So I get out for practice. I'm like, the car feels pretty good. I ran a decent time. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was I think the car had a lot more in it. So I was really excited to get out for qualifying and just see what I could get out of it, with it being later in the day, had more rubber on the track, get a little more grip in it. And another thing is, when I got the tires, they're used tires, so the outside was worn. So when I mounted them backwards, so the good rubber was on the outside. So I had to the car was really tight at first because of the way that the tread was worn. So I had to even all that out. So I think the practice took care of that. So I get in the car, get my helmet and everything on to get ready to go qualify. Window nets up. Go to start the car. Nothing. So I get out. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, cool. I'm like, I just moved all these wires. It could be anything.
Right.
But I was confused. I'm like, the car has started every time, no problems, until right now. So I went through checked all my grounds, hooked some old ones up that I didn't think I needed anymore, but just in case that was maybe the issue, and nothing. Well, I went to start at one time, and one of the power cables that runs through the cockpit of the car to the battery that's located behind me, Shaylin literally just flicked it, and it tried to start. So he grabbed it, picked it up, and it started. I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe that wire specifically is the issue. Well, then I got to looking, and there's these two boxes that run up, basically hook into all the electrical behind the dash with everything for the ignition, this, that, and the other. And they were both kind of loose. I tightened them whenever I put them back on, but I guess you really have to crank them down. So I tightened both of those back up, and then the car started. And it started every time after that I tried. So I was like, whatever. I didn't run a heat race because I didn't qualify. I start in the back of the feature, and there's like
26, I believe.
Yeah. 26 cars. And I start in the back, and I made the mistake of staying on the inside line instead of going to the outside of this car, because the car's been there one time before, and the driver was in it. It seemed like he knew what he was doing, and I get stuck behind this car, and they eventually kicked this car off the track because it was going too slow, if that doesn't tell you anything.
It was awful.
So that put me at a disadvantage anyway, because I'm getting lapped because I got stuck behind some slower cars. But eventually got the car underneath me, was trying some different techniques with driving, braking, just different approaches to the short turn, and even the dog leg and everything in general. And the car just felt really good. Mm-hmm. And so finally, once I got bunched back up at the pack after a caution, they didn't really take off from me. I did get lapped once, but that was because I was stuck behind some of the slower cars. So eventually I worked my way up. I was doing pretty good, I felt like. And I'm going to enter the short turn with like 2 laps left or something like that.
Yep.
And I just get absolutely drove through. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what the heck? I thought maybe it was one of the leaders. I'm like, they never said leaders behind you or anything like that. And then I'm like, well, there was a couple of cars right there. Maybe they got ran over from behind or something. Well, then I realized who it was whenever, like mid-spin. Mm-hmm. I got to where his bumper was in my driver's side door as I was spinning. And so while keeping the car, I'm still driving the car,
right,
getting ready to get it spun back around. And I'm spinning, and I have one hand out the window flipping this kid off because I know who it was. And so I get it spun back around right in front of the leader, and I thought for sure he's going to take me out. I got out of his way, thankfully.
Yeah.
And so I went over to the kid after the race. I went over to his car. He wasn't there. So I eventually found him, and he said he got ran over from behind. So I was like, okay, no big deal. Well, there's video of it. Shout out to my lovely fiance for recording that. And there is no one behind him. Yeah. He just drove through me. And it was funny. They're a racing family, I know. His dad races. So his dad was standing over there by him, and he was talking about how he got spun earlier in the race and whatnot. He's like, you guys are in a crap class. You guys, bumping and stuff's going to happen, but to just drive through somebody like that's a little ridiculous. And at this point, I didn't know that there was footage of this incident.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, it is. I get it. I was like, I was just confused because I was like, if you bump me, granted, I was racing someone for position, but if you bump me, I will get out of your way. Just let me know you're there. If you're faster than me. And I'm not taking away from the kid. He's fast. His car's fast. He's just a little wild with it right now. He's still getting his feet underneath him. It's his rookie year.
Right.
So I'll give him that. But then I see the video, and I'm like,
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to... No, I'm going to say it. I don't care. I'll incriminate myself. The next time he's in front of me going into the short turn, thanks for being my brakes.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like no bumping is going to happen in racing. Nobody's saying that. But, just to full-on dump somebody, that's what happened.
I'm not going to come over there because you touched my car. Look at it. It's full of dents and tire marks and everything. That's racing. I get it. Yeah. When we have damn near 30 cars on this little itty-bitty track, it's going to happen. I'm not mad about that. If you door me, okay. If we bang doors or something going through a corner because we're racing for position, fine. But if you just literally drive through me.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't even a matter of he was on my inside a little bit and had the position, or like thought maybe he had the position. I was very clearly in front of him, and he didn't have a nose on me at all.
Yeah.
And just drove through me.
That's what I don't get. Is like, if you mess up, just acknowledge it. Say, yeah, I messed up. Sorry. It's that simple.
That's what I'm saying.
It's that simple.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry. I overdrove the turn. Whatever. Cool. Shake your hand. Have a good day. But to just sit there and lie to me about it, yeah, I got hit from behind. No, you didn't.
Yeah, he had a whole car length between him and the car behind him, if not more. I mean, I guess that's just what I don't get. Like, if I've apologized for being in somebody's way. Said sorry.
Right, but that's my thing. I'm like, just give me a bump going through the corner there, and that's another thing. We were in it was like 14th or 15th through 19th or something right there.
Yeah.
And I was in the front. I was like second or third car in the pack.
Yeah.
And there was a car to my outside. So at that point in time, I didn't have anywhere to go. But if you just bump me, you give me a little bump going into the corner, I'm like, okay, there's a faster car behind me.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And I guess that's what I don't get either. Like, I've seen it in my class. I've seen it in other classes. This example's perfect in my opinion. It's like, if you are faster than somebody else in front of you, wait to get out of the turn and you can pass them. It's like Jimmy said before we started racing. He's like, if you are caught in a situation where you're on the bottom and you're a slow car, just stay there and hold your line. They will get around you if they're faster than you.
Yeah.
So it's like, if he was faster than you, all he had to do was wait for that turn to come up and get past you on the straightaway.
And that's another thing. There was a gap between us and the next group of cars big enough that you're not making that up and passing anybody in the 2-3 laps that we had left.
Right.
So, I don't know. But, and then you spin me, and then you slowed yourself down even more. So, okay, cool. You screwed yourself.
Yeah.
But, no, all in all, the car felt, I passed people on the outside in the short turn. So, like, obviously the car felt pretty good.
Right.
But
it looked really good.
But no, I was very frustrated. And like I said, I understand stuff is going to happen. Whatever. But I think some people, yes, we're a beginner class, but you should at least know the little things like that before,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to hold you to the same standard as someone like people who are winning in our class that have been racing for 20 plus years. That's unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you just drove through me, it's like, hey, I didn't even know you were behind me.
Right. Yeah. And that's my thing too. It's like, it's not like we're running mirrors.
No.
And it's like, I guess people don't understand that. It's just like, oh, we.
It's all based off of what you hear.
Yeah.
And our cars are loud. I don't hear you unless you have a nose on me and your engine's literally right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can turn my head a little bit, but like, it's very hard to tell, especially when you have a car to your outside, that someone's there. Well, you're behind me. I really didn't know you were there.
Because essentially, if I remember correctly, I watched the video at work today. It's been a couple hours. It was like you had a car on your outside, and then he kind of just looked on the inside. Wasn't a lot of room there to begin with, because he was essentially probably in the grass at that point.
No.
And no?
No, the car that I had just passed, so he was on the outside. He followed me when I was passing a couple people. I got down a lap before him, and then he moved down behind me in the backstretch. And he had a good car and a half, 2 cars between him and the car behind him. And it looks like entering the corner, he dove in. So, like, I'm still not even in the turn yet. And I was running the bottom. Like, I'm hugging the grass in the corner. And it looks like he just dives down. He may have driven into the grass to get to me, but
That's what it looked like.
It's not like there was room there for it anyway.
That's what I'm saying. It looked like he just took it way deep inside. Because you had a car on your outside. You were basically on the bottom line. He just took it deep and turned you.
And so I had a car, I believe I had a car in front of me and a car to my outside.
Yeah.
And I was essentially keeping up with the car in front of me. Like I was racing her for the longest time.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Looking at this video, it's like he could have backed out. He didn't have to be aggressive in the turn like that. Because you have a car in front of you, you have a car on the outside. He just takes it 3 wide, essentially, and just turns you. Like, turns right.
And it'd be one thing if I moved up a lane and was like pushing the car to my outside out, but I wasn't.
No, you were holding the bottom line. Anyway, I don't know where you and Dad finished.
I finished 19th.
Okay, so I think Dad finished 16th. Did want to shout out Brent. Looked phenomenal in that car.
So first off, Brent, so race engineer, truck team.
Yeah.
They raced in Ohio. And I want to say it was, I don't know how long of a drive it's supposed to be.
Right.
Like a 3-hour drive maybe. That might be it. I don't know. But truck race, rain delay. So he was going to try and get done with the truck race, drive to Mount Lawn to race the modified. Well, they had a rain delay, so that pushed it back like an hour.
Right.
So crunch time. Well, luckily the modifieds were the last race of the night. And your race took a while. And it wasn't even necessarily the racing itself. There was a health emergency up in the grandstands at one point that they red flagged the race. Mm-hmm. So that helped out a lot, which he was already there at that point. But so he flies to Mount Lawn from the track. Like, he was stuck in traffic leaving the track and in Dayton for a while. And then I got over and was getting in the car or something, getting ready to get in the car to go race, and his brother comes over and is talking to me. He goes, yeah, he's 20 minutes out. I was like, how?
Right.
So he gets there. Car has not been practiced, has not been qualified. He starts in the back and drives it, what, to 8th?
I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that car was rolling.
Yeah.
And if it says anything, Brent doesn't run every race out there. He can't because of his schedule. And he was gaining on the Coes and Eminette and all these guys. Like, I mean, it looked very consistent. The car looked like it was set up perfect. Like, yep. I mean, give him another 30 laps, and he would have been up there battling with everybody.
I think he could have got it done in less than 30. I mean, he was right there. The car looked phenomenal. Brent is an awesome driver. He's obviously got talent. Me, Mom, and Dad were talking about it, and Mom goes, "Why doesn't he drive professionally?" I was like, "I don't know." Like, he could. Watching him last night, I would not be surprised if he was trying to, like, get a professional ride.
I don't know, but it was very impressive.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I told him after. I don't think he heard me, but we drove past him when he was at the pit box. I was like, "Hey, good job tonight." And then I posted on his Facebook. I was like, it was just, I was just, like, blown away by how, like, fast that car was and how good he looked. Yeah. Just to see him progressing, because this is, what, his second year?
No, I know he raced a front-wheel drive before.
Right.
I don't know how consistently he drove it, but I think this is maybe his third year in the modified.
So third year.
Second or third.
But, I mean, just to see the progress in that short of a time.
Yeah.
And then it was, I don't know, it was just crazy.
Like, if we didn't know that it was him driving it, you would have thought it's someone who's been doing it for years. Like, it looked really, really good.
Yep. I agree. Anything else we need to catch up on?
I don't think so. I really need to go log some laps. I really need to go practice. One, I got to figure out why my car won't start, and I'm hoping it's a simple fix. Mm-hmm. But I got a couple things I wanted. I have an exhaust leak, so I know that's killing me a little bit. But I think I'm just going to drop the money eventually and go get some new tires, and then have them shaved. That way I have a fresh set. I can see what it does. And then once I figure out how I need to drive, because like I got some advice before my race Saturday, and I'll tell you what, that's the best it's felt now. It's going to ruin my brakes a lot faster the way that I was driving. But let me tell you, it felt like I got around the track so much better. So we'll see. I don't know. The group of cars that I race with, I don't want to race with. I want to be able to keep up with the rest of the pack.
Right.
And as unfortunate as I know that's going to be, because I'm going to be involved in a lot more wrecks and stuff because of that, I don't know. I want to know that I can keep up with the fast guys.
Yeah.
And I know there's little things I can keep doing in my car to gain some horsepower. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of it's just me. I think my car has a little more in it that I just haven't figured out how to get out of it. Because it's like, there's times the way that I drive the car, I'm like, I don't know how these guys are doing it because I'm sliding all over the place. And you know, how are these guys doing it? So I know that the car's capable of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Dad's even said, we need to. He's like, Travis made a good point. We need to go out there as much as possible and just log laps. Obviously, it'll help, to help build up that seat time. And then you could figure out where, in my opinion, I could figure out where my car best handles at on the track. Where do I need to brake at, all this other stuff. Where are my points at? Because my points aren't going to be the same as your guys' points. They're not going to be the same as other drivers' points. So
right. And it's just so hard because it's like I want to get behind one of the fast guys and follow them, but it's like you give it a lap and you're already a bus and a half in front of me.
Right.
Like I just can't keep up.
Yeah. We'll get there.
For sure.
Yeah.
I also can't wait to get this quick release wheel because the way that I drive, I guarantee you it hurts me a lot more than it helps me.
What do you mean?
I drive with one hand because I sit so far away from the steering wheel. I think I do pretty good at it.
Yeah. I couldn't do it.
But man.
Yeah, I'm always two hands on the wheel.
No, I'm one hand here, one hand on the bar over here.
I couldn't do it. But I have a quick release. I never take it off. I always leave it on. I don't know why.
I would have to just because I'm going to get the tube that you weld on that extends it out because I want it to be here so I can be like instead of way out here. I think that'll help me a little bit be a lot more comfortable driving.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, we'll kick off IndyCar post race for Mid-Ohio. Chip Ganassi's Alex Palou. Crazy that he's still with him after all that legal battle that was going on between them. But Alex Palou scored his third consecutive win at Mid-Ohio last Sunday over teammate Scott Dixon. Palou, who led the final 24 laps, said, "I don't think I've had 3 big wins in a row and always being up there." He went on to say that this has been the best moment of his racing career so far. Will Power finished the weekend in third, followed by Christian Lingard and Scott McLaughlin. One of the biggest moments from the weekend was a violent crash suffered by Simon Pagenaud in a second practice session. He was replaced by Connor Daly. Paginaud's number 60 Honda lost brakes in turn 4 before flipping several times through the gravel pit. While Pagenaud was checked and released from the medical center, he was experiencing concussion-like symptoms and was not cleared to race. Pagenaud and his team will find out this week if he will be cleared to race. However, the team will be considering all of their options if he is not. Despite the damage to his car, his team says that they will be repairing the car and it will eventually make it back into the rotation of cars, which I just find crazy. The IndyCar Series will travel to Canada this week, where drivers will hit the streets of Toronto for 85 laps. You can catch all of the action on Peacock with coverage beginning at 1:30 p.m.
Real quick. This was just posted on Facebook, so I wonder what this means. Interesting. Yeah.
I would love to have him on.
Hopefully something more to come on that, maybe for the next episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that crash was
scary.
I know I sent you guys the video and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Again, thank God for safety equipment.
Thank God for the aero screens.
Yes.
I will say though, not to interrupt, but
you're good.
Like I remember when I was in high school when they were discussing the option to add the aero screens to IndyCar, and a lot of people.
Did I get him?
I think so. A lot of people were very against it. It would take away from IndyCar and what the cars are, and now it's just like people are praising it. I'm glad that they took safety very seriously especially after Justin Wilson's death, and drivers are better protected now because of it. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, there's been quite a few accidents since the introduction of the aero screen where people are like, had that not been there, this person might be dead.
Right.
Very likely could be dead.
Yeah. So,
just goes to show that the sport is continuously evolving. There's always going to be freak accidents. I get that. But any preventative measures, I say because motorsports as a whole, I consider any preventative actions that we can take, the better.
And the fact that his car, like seeing what his car looked like after the fact, the team's like, yeah, we'll repair it.
Yeah.
And we'll get it back in rotation. That's crazy to me.
Your car just barrel rolled.
Yeah. And you'll be in it 2 months from now.
Okay.
I'm very excited about this topic.
I didn't get to watch it. Unfortunately, I wanted to.
I almost didn't get to because we lost power that night because we had bad storms roll
I don't
through.
know why I didn't watch it. I don't remember. But Chicago Street Course, I've heard a lot of good and bad about it.
Lots of mixed reactions.
But I think part of that is you have the group of NASCAR fans. It's like, I don't like change.
Yeah.
But I have seen a lot of people that were like, this was good for NASCAR. I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I watched this, and I think it really brought some people who typically wouldn't be interested in NASCAR into a little bit of interest in NASCAR.
Yeah.
So in his NASCAR Series debut, New Zealander SVG Shane Van Gisbergen, I think that's how you pronounce it. Which it's funny because Dale Earnhardt was talking about. He said that people were saying that they weren't saying it properly. He's like, well, I thought I said it the best. But anyway, he won on the inaugural street course with Trackhouse's 91 team. Justin Haley, who held the lead over Gisbergen and Elliott, finished second. Elliott finished the weekend in third, followed by Larson and Kyle Busch. Despite the rain, the Cup Series managed to finish their race, but due to a later start time, NASCAR made the decision to shorten the race to 75 laps. It was originally 100. The Xfinity Series did not have the same luck from the rain, as their race was deemed official by NASCAR after only running 25 laps of the scheduled 56, giving Cole Custer the win. John Hunter Nemechek, Justin Allgaier, Brett Moffitt, and Austin Hill closed out the top 5. Following the weekend in Chicago, several drivers shared their thoughts. Finished 8th in NASCAR's inaugural Chicago street race. Today was a race day I've never experienced before, and shout out to NASCAR for continuing to think outside the box, and thank you to the city of Chicago for letting us host a race that has never been seen before. Joey Logano. Brad Keselowski said, great views, fans, and racing. See ya, Chicago. Austin Cindric, basic, well done NASCAR. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., fun times in Chicago. Track was a blast to race, and the fans showed up. Watermelon Man, Ross Chastain. Congrats to NASCAR and NASCAR Chicago for pulling off an amazing event. I hope we continue to push the boundaries like this. It's good for business. Eric Jones says, let's do it again. And Denny Hamlin says, thank you, Chicago. Thank you, NASCAR. Job well done.
I will say, I thought the racing was good. Granted, it was single file most of the time. There was a few parts of the track that allowed for good racing. But overall, I thought it, despite the rain, by the way, overall, it was a great weekend. I know they said there was like 10 people deep against like the fences to watch this race. People were climbing up on light poles and who knows what else just to try to get a glimpse of the cars. I personally like this weekend better than LA.
For sure.
And I do think it was. I've seen a lot of people say it was a flop for NASCAR. It was a failure. I disagree.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the Xfinity race more than the Cup race.
For sure.
Because everybody was like, so the city of Chicago, since they were in a park or whatever, if there's lightning, the city has a mandatory, like they have to clear out or whatever.
Yeah.
That wasn't anything NASCAR. That wasn't a NASCAR rule. That was Chicago's rule.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were like, well, why did they not know this? And if so, like, they could have ran the race later that night instead of pushing it to the next day or whatever.
Right.
And then cutting it short because of the rain, and they have to get the Cup Series race in. So I think that played a big role, and everybody's like, well, it was a flop.
Yeah. I will say it was unfortunate, but overall, I think it was a good weekend. I think it did expose a lot of people to NASCAR. I know Shane gained a lot of fans following his win.
I'll tell you what. Sorry to interrupt, but just watching some of the highlights that I've seen, just the way he was able to drive the car and make some of the passes that he did, especially for the lead.
It was phenomenal.
Even Larson talked about it because Larson was like, I was trying to follow him. And I do. This brings up another question that I'll ask you once I get done reading this a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, just it was pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't realize that SVG races V8 supercars a lot on courses like that. So, well, yes, it was his NASCAR debut. I'm not taking I'm not trying to take anything away from him.
Right.
Either way, he was racing his first race in a cup car with guys who race cup cars for a living. Mm-hmm. But he does race V8 supercars on tracks like this, so it's not like he was totally brand new to the whole thing.
Right.
So like his racing experience from that translated over a lot more than say like an F1 driver, an IndyCar driver coming in to the Cup Series. Either way,
agree with you.
Still very impressive.
He was just very dominant in the closing laps. It was just crazy to see the speed he had on Elliott and whoever came in second.
Justin Haley.
Yeah, I mean it was just it was crazy.
Mm-hmm. So NBC scored a 2.52 rating and saw 4.632 million viewers. The best race the channel has seen since the 2017 NASCAR Championship in Homestead. Aside from this year's Daytona 500, the Chicago Street Course had the best viewership this season. Okay, so my question to you is: some of these drivers, shouldn't say a lot of them, but maybe a lot of them, were like, I wonder if this makes him think we all suck, talking about SVG, because he just came in here and whooped our ass? Or do you think he has a respect? You know what I mean? Everybody's like, he came in here and whooped our ass. What does that say about us?
I don't buy into that, I guess. I think he does have a lot of experience in road course racing, things like that. It's impressive that he was able to jump in one of these cars and figure it out pretty quickly. But I don't think it shows that NASCAR drivers aren't all that. I think that it's just that was his wheelhouse. I mean, this was a first time for NASCAR. We've never been on a street course.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, where he has ran on street courses before, none of these other guys in a cup. I mean, okay, SVG hasn't done it in a cup car either, but he's done it in V8 supercars, where these guys haven't done it in a cup car. Or I would say the vast majority of them, if not all of them, haven't done it in a V8 supercar either. This is the first time they've ran on the street.
Right. Yeah. I disagree. I don't think it says that, or I don't think it shows that NASCAR drivers aren't all that great. I think it takes a lot of skill to jump into a next gen race car and be able to pull it off. But I don't think, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. I said a whole lot of nothing, but
I agree with you. I think it's hard. You know, some of these drivers are like, man, I think it's a good point though, for a driver to kind of look at themselves and be like, okay, I need to get better.
That I agree with, because, I mean, that's like, okay, we go to Bristol Dirt and Kyle Larson beats me. Well, I've never raced on dirt before. So it's like,
of course he's going to beat me.
What does that say about me? It's like, I don't agree with that.
Right.
But yes, I do agree with what you just said, where it's like, I know a lot of drivers. I'm sure Hendrick drivers, when Kyle Larson came along and did become one of the better drivers for a time, I would be, what can I do to beat him?
I mean, I think it says something. Now, I'm a Kyle Larson fan, so this may be a little biased, but whenever Kyle Larson, who may arguably be one of the best race car drivers in existence right now, is like, I'm impressed, like, that was amazing. He's not beating himself up. He's like, he didn't come out there and make me look bad. Yes, he whooped my butt.
Right.
But, that just shows me that there's room to improve, yada, yada, yada. So,
and I do think that with Shane and all these other road course drivers, these IndyCar drivers, F1 drivers, I think there is a lot to learn with them being in the sport like that. Shane is the better example.
Yes.
But I do think there's a lot to learn there. And I think that is a good resource to have, to go back and watch footage and figure out where did he run that I might not have ran at, where did he brake at that I might not have braked at, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But I did want to say overall, I thought it was a good race weekend, despite the rain. I'm interested to see the future that NASCAR takes with this. Are we going to see another road course? Are we going back to Chicago, or are we going to try to go somewhere different?
I think they should repeat the Nashville course like they did for IndyCar.
I think it'd be cool. I really wish NASCAR would, with the playoffs. I'm not a fan of Phoenix. I really wish they would host it like a Super Bowl, where it moves around every year. I know there's only so many tracks, but still, I think that would be cool.
I think mixing it up every year would be a huge benefit because, I mean, one, I'm not the biggest fan of Phoenix either. Yeah. I prefer Homestead over Phoenix. Now, that's personal preference. I get that. But I think it would get boring running the championship race at the same track every year, just like I'm sure teams, maybe I'm thinking way deeper into this than it really is, but I'm sure if teams played at the same stadium every year for the Super Bowl, they'd be like, well, this sucks.
Yeah.
But I also think, in thinking of, how hosting a Super Bowl in different cities works, it gives the fans a different experience.
Yeah.
And, if NASCAR wants to appeal to the fans too.
Well, I mean, it's like, I remember when Indianapolis got the Super Bowl and they had the Village or whatever.
Think of how good that was for Indy.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I really do think if you were able to take it to another city every year, I think you would achieve your goal of trying to appeal to other people, because it'd be like, all right, well, we got this whole week leading up to the race. Let's go out and see what's going on. Instead
of just trying to throw some random race that doesn't mean anything in L.A., that you're just going to tear the racetrack up as soon as you're done.
I think, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I think we've tried L.A. a couple times. I don't think we need to go back. I think it's not working.
I think it could work, but the approach is wrong.
Yes, I agree with that. But I do think, like, even like the playoff race, it's like, why are we not doing anything for a whole week leading up to it? I mean, I know it's going to be hard to get fans out there, but it's like,
right? But
I think NASCAR can make the playoff weekend so much bigger and better.
Yeah.
But who am I? Moving on to Mid-Ohio and Atlanta post-race results, we'll kick off with the ARCA Menard Series and Craftsman Truck Series, who made their way to Mid-Ohio, while the Xfinity and Cup Series raced at Atlanta Motor Speedway this weekend. In the ARCA Series, Jesse Love was looking to score his 4th win of the season. William Solowich was looking to score his 2nd consecutive win. Frankie Muniz was looking forward to getting closure after suffering an accident that halted his racing career in 2009, and several others were looking for their first win in 2023. However, Tyler Ankrum was dominant and grabbed the win, followed by William Solowich, Jack Wood, Jesse Love, and Dale Quarterly. Drama came as Venturini's Sean Hingarini wrecked teammate Dean Thompson on the final lap of Friday's race.
That was wild.
I was shocked. A lot of people were shocked. ARCA has since announced that Hingarini would be suspended for one race and would be placed on probation for the remainder of 2023. If I butchered your name, I'm sorry, but you wrecked your teammate, so not sorry. In the Truck Series, Zane Smith and Ben Rhodes were hoping to add another road course win to their careers, while Ty Majeski, Matty D, Matt Crafton, Nick Sanchez, and Stuart Friesen were looking to gain ground in the playoff standings. Corey Heim, Zane Smith, Christian Eckes, Stuart Friesen, and Ben Rhodes closed out the top 5. The Xfinity Series saw veteran
Hang on. Before we move on to Xfinity.
Yes.
And Atlanta. So there's a couple things, mainly one thing I want to talk about. So, first off, again, the wrecking of your teammate, waiting and wrecking your teammate on the last lap, absolutely blows my mind. But second, I want to talk about Frankie Muniz, who may not be racing at Iowa for their next race due to sponsorships. Yes. I don't know if you saw anything about that.
I did not see this, but I will say I did see that he was having issues with sponsorships. This has been a topic for a while. I didn't touch base on this, so I wish I did, but I didn't do the research into it. I know at one time he was talking recently about wanting to move up into another series. But no, I did not see that he might not be racing. That is just like...
And he's like way up in points.
Yeah.
So, which technically, I don't think his hood was sponsored at...
It wasn't, and...
It was like something that his son did or something like that.
I think Frankie put his brand on the hood.
That's what it was.
That his son, he said, so that he could have a toy car that looks like his dad's.
That's what it was.
Which I thought was cool, but it's unfortunate that he's having sponsorship issues, especially with him having such a good season, his rookie season in the ARCA Series.
Not even necessarily. I mean, that too, but on top of that, just who he is.
Right.
Like, it's Frankie Muniz. And, like, no, he's not in his prime now in his acting career, but, like, it's Frankie Muniz.
Yeah.
And if he can't get sponsorships, I was watching something, I don't remember if it was a TikTok clip of maybe a podcast or something talking about how different things are now, and how it's like someone was being asked to race for somebody, and they're like, we just need $20,000.
Just need.
Yeah, they asked him, or yes, because someone was asking Dale Jr. If he knew anybody that would drive for him, and he sent these people to this guy. They asked him, he said, yeah, sure, I'll drive for you, why not? They said, well, we just need $20,000. He's like, no, I'm not driving for you if I have to pay for it.
Right.
He's like, used to back in the day, people would just call you up, hey, you want to drive? Yep, okay, that's it.
Right. Well, it's like I've heard, there's several Cup drivers now who are relatively successful who talk about
Joey Logano.
When they first started, they didn't get paid anything to race. They just did it because they wanted to. I would absolutely do that. But now it's like you have to pay your way in.
Was it you or AJ that sent the video in our group chat? Where it was Joey Logano talking about having, like, to go down and race in, like, trucks or something. He has to bring money to the table or he doesn't do it.
It was one of us.
And
but
he's
yeah.
a past champion. So, like, how crazy is that?
Yeah. It's that's why I would love to get into the business side of motorsports or talk to somebody who's from that side of it, because I'm interested. I know it's business and business is hard. I mean, hell, Steven had to sell his car to get money to race. It's just, why is it, again, going back to dirt versus asphalt, dirt seems like they're doing really well with sponsorship money. Why is it that Frankie Muniz, out of all people, is having a hard time getting sponsorship?
And it's not like these people aren't marketable. They are.
Right.
And I saw something else that was kind of like defending some of these drivers about how, these young kids have to bring money to the table too. Talking about, I'm like, but it's not the kids bringing the money to the table.
No.
It's either someone in their family.
Yeah.
It's not either. It is probably someone in their family. So it's like, there's a lot of talent that's not in the higher ups because they don't have the funding to do so.
Which I think is unfortunate.
There's a lot of people that are up there that probably shouldn't be. I'm not saying they're not good, but I'm saying there's probably a couple handfuls of people out there somewhere that are way better than they are, but they don't have the money to do it.
And that's my thing. It's like, I know boohoo life is not easy and life ain't fair, but it's also like, in that situation, and I'm going to sound like a bitch for saying this, but it's like you are taking away from somebody else who genuinely deserves it. And it's just because, oh, well, my daddy took out 3 mortgages on our house to get me into where I'm at now. It's like, Frankie Muniz should not be struggling for sponsorships. If I had the money, I swear to God, I would put it all to him. Mm-hmm. Cody Connor is another kid. Mm-hmm. Kid deserves everything.
They work their tail off.
And he struggles with sponsorship. And it's just like, I see other people. What's his name? Sean is a good example. This kid has money. He's got sponsorships. He wrecks his teammate because he has a bad attitude. I saw videos today where he's done it multiple times with his teammates and other drivers. It's like, do you really want somebody like that driving for you?
Apparently, that wreck that happened at the Milwaukee Mile, or not the Milwaukee, was it?
It was him.
He caused it.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Do you really, as a sponsor, as a team owner, do you really want that kind of person racing for you? Absolutely not. If I was Venturini, your ass would have, get your stuff, you're leaving. I don't want you on my team anymore. I know him and the team owner and Dean had a meeting after the fact, and Dean had tweeted some stuff. But it's just like, how do you move forward from that? I would not put up with it. I don't care how much money you bring to my team, you're out.
Yeah.
But I do hope that Frankie's able to race at Iowa. I hope that he's able to get something figured out sponsorship-wise. Like I said, if I had the money, I would absolutely give him everything I could. But that's just not the way it is. But I do hope he figures it out. I do think it's very unfortunate that, Frankie and people like Cody and all these other guys that really do deserve a chance just aren't getting it.
I agree. Anyway, now we can talk about Xfinity.
The Xfinity Series saw veteran short track driver Greg Van Alst make his series debut with Alpha Prime Racing. Van Alst joined Mike Bagley on the Motor Racing Network and said that this opportunity came about following his win at Daytona in the ARCA Series. When asked about his expectations for the weekend, Van Alst said that his biggest worry would be qualifying, as there were 39 cars entered, but only 38 would be racing on Saturday. He caught a break, however, as MBM Motorsports withdrew from the weekend. He went on to tell Bagley that his goals would be to limit rookie mistakes, earn respect from the drivers he'd be racing around, and would have liked to score a top 20 finish. When asked about his ARCA operations, he said that there were some races left on their schedule, but hopes that more opportunities would follow his Xfinity Series debut. Van Alst finished Saturday's race in 38th after only completing 62 laps as he suffered a fiery crash. When asked about the difference between the ARCA car and Xfinity car following his wreck, Van Alst said that the Xfinity cars were much freer than the ARCA cars. John Hunter Nemechek, Daniel Hemrick, Cole Custer, Justin Haley, and Sam Mayer scored top 5 finishes. We were on Van Alst's car this weekend.
Sucks that's how things went down.
Back to the business of motorsports. I didn't want to talk about this, but you know what? Hey, I'm controversial. I don't care. I won't say how much we put up. It was a decent amount of money for us. You know, if I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't have done it. I would have reached out to Frankie Muniz, believe it or not. But for us, that was a big amount of money. And especially because we're not bringing in money by doing this podcast. You know, I always put money back each week from my paychecks to go towards podcast stuff or race stuff. And, you know, I think the communications I had with Greg, I will say it was whatever. It was respectful. It was, you know, thanks for doing this, whatever. I was disappointed when we were making posts leading up to race day, and he never liked anything. He never retweeted anything. The team never liked anything or retweeted anything. And I'm not saying that we were owed that, but I think as a partner, regardless of how small we put up, again, to us, that was a huge amount. But when you go out asking for sponsors and we agree to do it and put up that amount of money, I would at least like to have at least a like on something.
I'm gonna bring someone else into this conversation who really doesn't need to be brought into this conversation, but I appreciate him, so I'm bringing him into the conversation. Kyle Frame.
Yes.
We gave him next to nothing.
Yeah.
And every post, we're tagged in it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple.
Which, Kyle, if you're listening, I promise you, I will personally up the
for sure,
amount next year.
I am totally okay with making a way for us to give him more.
Yes, because he's awesome about it.
I would also like to try to sprinkle some on Bradley too.
For sure, I've been thinking about that too. Bradley, if you're listening, you'll get some money from me and Jarrett next year also. But it was just disappointing. You know, I joked that it probably would have costed us more money to get a shout out or anything. But I really do believe that. It was just unfortunate that it didn't go the way I thought it would.
No hard feelings, though. I don't. I don't want to
sound like a bitch, and I'm not trying to complain, but it was just it was unfortunate.
To me, the point of a sponsorship is to get something out of it. Whether companies put their names on these cars so people invest. And
I'm sorry that we don't have $5,000, $10,000 to throw at you, but again, for us, that was a lot of money, and I would have at least liked to have gotten a like on something. I mean, we were posting not constantly, but I mean, I made several posts about it, and it was just like, I want to give money to drivers who I think deserve it, and whatnot. I'm tired of putting money up for things where we're not getting anything in return. And it shouldn't be like that. Like you said, Kyle is a great example where, every time he posts something, we are always tagged in it. And, I said, I don't think we're owed that, but it's also like, on the other hand, it's like, even if I gave you $5 freaking, I mean, you could at least say thanks publicly. You know what I mean? It's just weird. I don't know. It was just, I was a little pissed off about it. I'm not going to lie.
I mean,
but
there's a driver that races at Mount Lawn that, he's always talking about short on funding. But the moment someone gives him $1, he's like, thank you, like publicly.
Yeah.
I couldn't do this without you. And I'm like, you didn't have to do that. No, the person that gave you money, they're not owed that.
Right.
But it's like it's essentially marketing, right? You put your logo on
That's
a place
the
that it's
idea.
going to be seen,
Yeah.
so people learn about us. Hopefully, we gain more listeners from it.
Yeah.
But if someone, I mean, our logo wasn't very big anyway, because
Right.
considered to the overall amount of money it costs to be on an Xfinity car, we didn't give very much. But
Right.
to us, that was a lot. So it's just like, I don't know. I think I don't want to say it's frustrating.
I will say it's frustrating because, again, I want to try to give money out the best I can. The money that I put back is going towards podcast stuff, is going towards racing stuff, as I've said. But like the goal for this podcast is to grow, and with that, hopefully make money, which I would love to give back to short track racing, to give back to racing in all areas. You know, I always think about who do I want to sponsor with this stuff. We jumped on board with Kyle. We jumped on board with Cody. We want to jump on board with Bradley. I figured that, hey, Greg Van Oss is asking for sponsorships for his Xfinity Series debut. Let's help the guy. I mean, it ain't much. We're not making money, but again, that was a lot to us.
Here's my biggest issue with it. It's not like we gave him this amount of money for him to race a full season.
Right.
We gave him that amount of money for a race.
Right.
A one-time opportunity. Hopefully he gets more for his sake.
Right.
You know. But it was one race and nothing.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It was just like, I guess the bigger picture, I'm going to sound like a bitch and people are going to hate me for it. I don't care. The bigger picture is, if I am a driver, I don't even care about the team. I don't care. Whatever. If that's how you want to handle business, fine. But as a driver, if I'm going out asking for sponsorship,
that's true. It's not like, I mean, technically we approached him, but it was because we saw
because
the
he was
post
asking
about
for it.
asking.
It's like you could at least say, "Thank you guys for jumping on board with me for this race." That's it. I'm not asking for a whole lot here. But it's like a simple thank you publicly would have been nice. I was also promised pictures. He never sent them. So maybe he was very busy. I don't know. But it was just I don't know. If I could go back, again, no hard feelings, but if I could go back, I would have loved to have saved that money.
And put it somewhere else.
And gave it to somebody else. Or whatever. But it was just, I was frustrated. I was expecting, again, maybe I say we weren't owed anything, but I think we were. In the grand scheme of things, it's like if you were asking for sponsorship and we were kind enough to jump on board with you, regardless, we gave you the least amount you were asking for. But I won't read the messages because I don't want to start drama. But he basically told me what, like, I said, you know, what can we work out here? And he told me what the spots were, how much they were. He's like, this is what we're down to. I said, okay, we'll do it. And we didn't get shit for it. And I think it's just, to me, that's frustrating because, yes, this isn't a business, but I love doing the podcast. I think we could do great things with the podcast. I would love to grow our listening audience. I would love to be able to make some money out of this. Again, to give back to drivers and be able to do things in motorsports. Like I remember, what was it, Chili Bowl? That young kid, people were starting to give him sponsorships. I almost reached out to him to give him money. I probably didn't have it at the time, but that's my thing. It's like I would want to give back to drivers, and it's just like, I'm glad you had your Xfinity Series debut, but it would have been nice to get at least a shout out. And that's like my thing. It's like we've put money up for things before, and nothing has come out of it, and it's just frustrating when you're trying to market something to try to grow your audience and whatnot, and you get nothing.
And the thing about it is, I'm not trying to like talk shit. I'm not trying to.
I'm not trying to, but it's just like that's how I feel.
You know, he knows what it feels like. He's from a small town in Indiana. I'm sure he's had his issues getting sponsorships, money for the late. He's having those issues with the ARCA car right now.
Yes.
So it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like if anybody's willing to step up, especially with the way things are in racing now and how everything's all about dollar signs.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it wasn't much.
And I'm sorry that it wasn't much, but again, to us, that was a lot.
But you got to think, if we give that same amount to someone like Kyle Frame, That's a significant amount of money, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to be the main sponsor on his car, but
Right. It's just
I'd hate to see what that number is.
it's just I'm not trying to sound like a bitch. I'm really not, but it's just like I don't know. All I'm saying is it would have been nice to get a thank you. Hold that thought. I want to see if he even said thank you in the messages. I hope he did, but I don't know. It's just frustrating. I know business in motorsports is difficult and whatnot, but it's just
But I don't even think that this is like a difficult thing.
he did say thank you. But like even publicly, like nothing.
But now I understand the situation's different. I'm sure Greg's very busy.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But like when we originally gave Kyle money, he made this tweet about it. Like there was a graphic to go with it. And it's just like, man, like I'm sorry, like we gave what we could at the time. And I felt so appreciated from him doing that.
So I was looking at Alpha Prime's Twitter because I will say I don't think we were the only partners that didn't get. Maybe we were. I don't know. He had other partners on the car. I don't think they got a shout out either. So that makes me feel a little bit better. Also, they announced that Greg Van Oss will be running New Hampshire.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he gets another chance. I'm glad for you. But I'm going to sound like a. I don't care. It's money that like I work hard for. I put back. Same for you.
It's right, and it's not like this wasn't podcast sponsorship money that we spent. It was money out of our own pockets.
Again, because we're not making much money, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, please give us money. Like people have Patreons. I'm not going to dog on them because I know a lot of podcasts that make good ass money locally, make good money every month. I don't want to do that because it's just like I don't want to take money away from the 5 people that might listen. But it's just like that money could have went to better use. It could have went to Kyle. It could have went to Bradley. I could have sent more to Cody. I could have given it to. I could have reached out to Frankie Muniz and said, "Hey, I know it ain't a lot, but here you go." You know what I mean? It's just frustrating. I guess I don't know. I'm gonna be a.
Or we could have been selfish and put it in our own cars.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be nice. I don't know. I will say first, I do sound like a bitch, and I'm not sorry for it because it is frustrating.
Again, like I said, no hard feelings. It's just like
No, but I would have appreciated at least a public thank you. You know what I mean?
again.
Is that too much to ask, I guess?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, if any of you disagree, please feel free to tell us and explain why.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I just feel like you needed money. We gave you money out of our pocket because we're rooting for you. You're small town Indiana.
And you're pretty local to us.
Yeah, you're very local to us. Well, I've watched you race super late model since I got into racing.
Right.
And it's just like, you know, I don't think it's, maybe this isn't the right comparison, but a little kid, a pro athlete, they look up to this guy, they love this dude, they have his jersey, they meet him, and he's a dickhead. Mm-hmm. Shattered.
Well, yeah.
Not the same thing, but it's just like, it's just like, I was so excited for this.
I agree with you because we've had a situation with another driver. I won't mention names, but I was a huge fan of him. I was like, this kid's cool, whatever. We had a situation there for a second where I don't know if it was a misunderstanding. I don't think it was, but we were told it was, whatever. I don't care for him anymore.
It's just, I'm not saying I don't care for Greg at all. I'm not saying that.
No, I'm not going to go on him.
I'm not dogging on him whatsoever.
I'm not trying to anyway.
But it's just, it's like a defeated feeling,
yes.
More or less.
And I think I'm very frustrated about it just because, again, it's hard-earned money that we work for. I mean, I don't make a lot of money. And so, like, I'm trying to invest in the podcast because I know what the potential is. I'm trying to make it better for us. I'm trying to make it better for the people that listen. And I appreciate every one of you that do listen. I try to do things to help us out to be able to get to a position where, again, my goal would be to bring money in to be able to give it back out. Not all of it, obviously. I'd like to make a couple bucks on the side, but
develop a business model.
yes. And again, we've gotten bit by this before, where we've put money towards things that we thought would work out, and
We've sponsored laps in, was it the All American 400?
Yeah, and
nothing.
And we were told that, we would have been, I don't know, it's whatever. And I'm okay. Maybe that's my bad for not asking him what we would get out of it. He never said that we would get shotted out, but it's like I kind of assumed that we would. I don't know. I guess I feel really bad to you, and I will say I'm sorry, because I don't know how you were feeling about it when I first asked you, but I definitely felt like I persuaded you to do it.
No, well, I was the one that
I kind of
brought
bad.
it to your attention. Well,
Yeah.
I know you saw it, but I was the one that messaged you about it.
Yeah, but then I felt like I had to give an explanation why we should do it, and
No.
I mean, I don't have the messages anymore, but I basically told Jared, I was like, I think this would be a good opportunity for us. We would get our name out there. We could potentially even have him on the podcast, which I'm still open to. But
If he listens to this episode, he's going to be like, hell no.
well, I hope you kind of feel bad a little bit for us, but no, but I really did think that we would get something out of it. I thought the media hype around him was going to be big, and I'm not saying it wasn't. It was, but I was thinking that, okay, with the media hype being as big as it was around him being, making his Xfinity Series debut, we would get mentioned or something. I couldn't even get a like or a retweet on anything, and that was just frustrating. And again, maybe that's my bad for assuming that we would, but I just was under the impression that if you give money to a driver, and it's not like he could have said, I want $20,000, and I would have said, no, thank you. He told us where we were at. He told us what spots he had left, and we did it. And it was just, I don't know.
This is going to sound extremely crappy, so come at me if you want. But it's not like we just coughed up this money to give to, Chase Elliott, someone who's in the spotlight all the time. Right. Where then it's like, okay, I don't expect to get a shout-out from you. But someone who is, small town, small team, knows the hardships of it all.
Yeah.
I don't think Chase Elliott has ever struggled with sponsorships.
No.
He had a professional damn pit crew running the Winchester 400.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, that would be a little more understandable, but I don't know.
I do know, but I don't want to sound like a bitch, and I know I am. But it's also it's I don't know. That was a lot of money for me to cough up. I'm sure it was for you too. I mean, it was just, that's been our biggest, what's it called? Our biggest expense to date was that deal. And I'm just disappointed that it didn't go the way I thought it would. And maybe that's my fault, but
it's one of those where I don't think we're necessarily wrong for having the expectations that we did, but maybe we did learn the hard way.
Ow, I just stabbed myself.
That is kind of the way things have to go sometimes, but I can probably assure you that if someone else was in the same situation, it could go the total opposite way. Mm-hmm. Say if there was another local driver that was like, oh, I have an Xfinity Series debut, and we gave them a little bit of money, they very well may make public announcement.
Well, I don't know if I said this, but I want to. I'm not saying that this deal is going to turn me away from sponsoring people ever again. I'm not saying that, but it does put a bad taste in my mouth where it's okay, I'm going to be very picky of who we choose now. Kyle Frame is a great one. Cody Connor is a great one. I'm sure Brad would be a good one, Bradley. But it's just like I said, I really do want to help as many people as I can. I would love to even get our name out in the dirt world. When I write show notes, I'm trying to include more dirt stuff, even though that's not my expertise per se, but I'm trying to expand it. And I would love to go out into the dirt series, some of the dirt series and try to get sponsorship opportunities to drivers. But it's just I'm going to be very picky now, I think, or I'm going to get, again, it's a lesson learned. I'm going to figure out, okay, what are we really getting out of this? Because but it goes back to just I really think that if you are going out on social media and asking your followers if they know somebody or if they're willing to put up money for your Xfinity Series debut, you would at least give them a shout out. And maybe he did, but I'm going to say no because I would have noticed it, I think. You know what I mean? It's just, right. It's just frustrating. Not to sound like a bitch. again, I'm sorry if I do, but it is frustrating because, again, I was going to make a comparison. It's like, you save up money for something that you really want, or like you think you're going to get something and it's not what you wanted. It's just like, you'd be pissed too.
And maybe we were just excited because it's the Xfinity series. Maybe. I
mean, it's cool to say we were on an Xfinity car.
It is. But at the end of the day, we were on an Xfinity car. But
we didn't get nothing out of it.
We haven't gotten any new followers or anything because of it.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I was expecting, like, the podcast to blow up overnight, but it's like, at the end of the day, my goal is to turn this into a business one day. My goal is to grow our audience. My goal is to upgrade everything we have now to become more professional at what we do.
I would love to get to a point where we have monitors up.
My goal, my dead ass, I talked about this before, my goal is for this to become a full-time job.
And I think it very well could be. Like I said, it's going to take time, but it's
for
just
sure. But
situations like this aren't helping us.
No.
When our whole intent of doing so is to, one, help a driver, and in return, help us.
Yeah.
Not financially.
No.
But I mean, just another follower on the page is something.
Yeah. It was just disappointing. I'm still going to root for him, though.
For sure.
I love my local guys, and I'll support you to the end. But it was disappointing, and I don't know. It's just, talking about the business of motorsports and sponsorships. At the end of the day, it's just frustrating that, like, you ask for money to get you to the track and whatnot, and it's like we couldn't even get a thank you. I'm telling you right now, we don't have sponsors. But if I promise you, I would handle it like Kyle, where it's like you're going to get tagged in every single post I make. You're going to get mentioned in interviews if I ever were to have them. We've had a sponsor for the podcast before. Every episode, there was an ad read. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, I do, but like, I don't want people to like come at me. But it's also like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know.
I get it.
It sucks. Anyway.
It feels like I put a toothpick under my big toenail and kicked a wall.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to make a joke. I'm not going to. Where was I?
Playoff standings, right?
No, we had to get in NASCAR Cup Series. The NASCAR Cup Series closed out the weekend where Chase Elliott was hoping to score a hometown win, which would have locked him into the playoffs. Prior to Sunday's finish, Elliott sat 55 points below the cutoff, with 11 drivers already locked in. Those drivers include William Byron, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Kevin Harvick had held the 7th position, followed by Keselowski, Buescher, Wallace, and Gibbs. Sunday's race began with Richard Childress pacing the field in the number 29 Chevy Monte Carlo, the same car that Harvick drove to his first win at Atlanta in 2001, following the death of Dale Sr. I thought that was a very cool moment.
I did too.
Very emotional. Drivers were making very bold moves all race as weather was moving into the area, which would eventually end the race after 185 of the 260 scheduled laps were completed. William Byron was deemed the winner, followed by Daniel Suarez, AJ Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, who made a great comeback. He had contact on pit road with Martin Truex Jr. Everyone thought his race was done. Him and his crew chief had good strategy. I think he was up front for a while.
Had that race gone on any longer, he would have ran out of gas.
Oh, for sure.
Had they paced another lap, he probably would have ran out of gas.
It was just the entire race. I'll say Michael McDowell and Kyle Busch rounded out the top 5. It was a very tense race. Very surprised that drivers were able to keep it clean as much as they did. I mean, there was some contact that resulted in spins, but nothing major. Kyle Larson's day ended early.
I was so confused because he spun and whatnot, and they changed the tires, but I guess they didn't change the right front.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
I'm so confused because he came down pit road, they changed the tires, sent him on his way, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's fine.
Yeah.
And
he was.
They showed him in pit road, and the right front of the car exploded. I'm like, what happened?
Right. I was too. I was like, what in the hell? And then they went and showed the replay. He was coming off of pit road on the apron, and his right front tire just blew and totaled the car.
Blew the car to pieces.
he ended up pulling into the garage later on that night. But overall, probably the best race all season.
I mean, my heart rate was up. I was fired up.
I told Hunter, I was like, my heart is racing.
I mean, the end of stage 1 was amazing. I was really kind of rooting for Brad Keselowski there for a while.
I was too.
I mean, he was up there making some moves. Michael McDowell on his recovery, and like I was just like, I'm like, he of all people was like, this race is done now.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about the leader whenever it starts sprinkling, how their teams are like, it's pouring, like in the race.
Right.
Well, Michael McDowell was in, what, 4th? I'm like, his team was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But no, it was a really good race. I like it. Even Dale Jr. was talking. He's like, Bristol Night Race used to be the ticket. If anybody asked what race to go to, that's the race. He said, not anymore. I'm sending them here.
And I'll tell you what, I would love to go to a race at Atlanta. I know when they first repaved it, they first reconfigured it, people were pissed. I think the racing has been phenomenal. I think, as I said, I think that was the best race of the season.
I think this Atlanta track fits the package of this next-gen car very well.
Yes, I agree 100%. And I wish that the race did not end because of rain, because it would have been a great finish.
But I think that amped it up a lot, too, because they were being very aggressive because they didn't know when it was going to start raining.
Yeah, and that's why I think even stage 1 was so aggressive, because they knew the rain was coming. And, when they were still pacing before the green, a lot of crew chiefs were telling their guys, it's going to be about an hour and a half before this rain comes. Let's try to get as much track position as we can. And it was just intense the entire time.
Which is crazy, because you think of a super speedway race, per se, and being aggressive early on is never good.
Yeah.
But they were aggressive from the get-go.
It was crazy.
It was amazing.
If you didn't watch, you missed out on quite a bit. And I highly suggest you try to watch the race or watch the highlights. It was intense. Now, I do want to ask you before we get into playoff standings after Atlanta. There was a lot of controversy around NASCAR's decision to pull them down pit road. As we know, following Daytona, they don't play with rain anymore.
No.
But a lot of people had issues with, they were saying it was about 13 minutes of caution laps before they finally pulled them down pit road, and they could have been racing some more. What's your thoughts on that? Did you have any?
I think potentially they could have gone back green. However, then you run into the same situation of Daytona, possibly. Mm-hmm. I know that a big change that they made is they have people outside of the track now in surrounding areas.
Yep.
It's like, hey, the rain's here now. It's coming. You have about this much time. Blah, blah. They have people in surrounding areas, so they are more aware of that now.
Right.
So potentially they could have got the race stopped right before the rain got there, mm-hmm. or what have you.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I think they were just playing it safe because they didn't want to get bitched at if a bunch of cars got tore up because they ran into a wet track in turn 4 when the sun's,
right.
Obviously the sun was set, but like at Daytona, they entered the turn and it's
just
torrential downpour, and then the rest of the track's dry.
Yeah, and I know they were saying that there was some rain falling in one of the turns. So it's like Atlanta, can even have rain in turn 1 but not turn 4.
But another thing is if it's not raining hard enough and you keep cars on the track, well, the heat of the track, it just dries up immediately. Mm-hmm. So there's a very narrow line of this is safe to race, and it's not.
Yeah. As much as I hate it, I do think they made the right call, especially following Daytona. I mean, I remember that happening, and it was just crazy. So I think, as much as I hate it, I think they did make the right call.
I mean, something similar, it wasn't pack racing, obviously, but it was New Hampshire a couple years ago. Kyle Busch was in the lead, takes off into turn 1, and off he goes.
Yep. Yeah. So, looking at playoff standings, do we want to start with Cup or work our way up from trucks?
We'll go trucks first.
Okay. So currently, those in, we only got 10? Is that right? Okay. 10. Corey Heim, Zane Smith, Christian Eckes, Grant Enfinger, Carson Hocevar, Ben Rhodes, Ty Majeski, Nick Sanchez, Matty D, and Matt Crafton are currently in the playoff picture. Let's see. Stuart Friesen's just below the cutoff line.
What's crazy?
Yeah.
Is it all the Thor Sport drivers? Matt Crafton, Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes,
Haley Deegan's the only one not in
Haley
it.
Deegan is the only one not in it.
She's currently 19th. She's just had... she can't catch a break.
Do you... we've kind of talked about this before.
Yeah.
But as a team owner, say you were an Xfinity team, do you offer her an Xfinity ride because you feel like she would handle an Xfinity car better than a truck, or do you pass on her due to her lack of success in the lower series?
I've seen this conversation before with her. People think that the Xfinity cars are more her style of racing, and I think that is somewhat true. I think drivers do have a style of racing that better fits them. For her, it might be Xfinity cars. Would I offer a full-time season? Probably not. I would give her
Like a 5-race deal or something like that, just to see how it goes.
Yeah, because you could be good on short tracks, but not intermediate tracks. You could be good on super speedways, but none of the other two. Vice versa. I don't know. I do think, though, I feel bad for Haley because I think she has done a great job many times, and she gets caught up in everyone else's stuff. Granted, she has made her own mistakes. I don't know. I don't buy into this whole, well, if you can't perform in the truck series, you can't perform in Xfinity series. And if you can't perform in Xfinity series, you can't perform in Cup series. I don't necessarily buy into all that. Granted, the odds are not in their favor. But I don't know. I don't know. I feel bad for her because I did say when it was announced that she's going to Thor, that if she couldn't win in Thor equipment, this might be the end of her career. I hope that's not true. And like I said, I think she has done a lot of great work, but she's not putting up the results.
Also, while we're talking about Thor Sport, so obviously Brent is a Thor Sport engineer. I have recently found out after talking to his dad at the track Saturday that Brent was recently promoted to lead engineer at Thor Sport.
That's awesome.
I believe that is what he said. So if that is true, congratulations, Brent. Super happy for you.
Congrats.
Maybe one day I'll come work for you.
Or if we could build DJG up, I already told Jared, I was like, if I had a race team and I had all the money in the world, Brent would be our lead engineer. I already know who I would put as shop manager, so on and so forth. That is awesome, though. Congrats to him. I talk to him sometimes at the track. I think he's a good kid, and I'm happy for him. I would love to work in NASCAR in that level of motorsports, but I don't know.
One weekend I would love to go, like maybe Red Bud weekend, and just hang out at his hauler and learn about what steps, what is what goes into a mod. Also, I don't know if this is secret news or not. I don't think so. I'm trying to remember exactly what his dad told me, but so Brent's big race that he wants to make and perform well in is obviously the Raintree. So I think he said that, I don't remember the guy's name, forgive me, it's either Ben Rhodes' current crew chief or former crew chief or something like that, is going to come to Mount Lawn and help Brent with the car for a weekend or some practice or something like that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. I'm like, that's so cool.
I don't know if that is secret. I don't know.
I don't know, but
allegedly. I don't want somebody to get mad if we say something that we're not supposed to.
Well, he didn't tell me not to. So.
Okay. Well, that's on them. But that would be cool.
Yeah.
God, I would love to work in NASCAR. I just can't do the math. I can't do it. I suck at it.
Luckily for you, calculators exist.
I know how to add, subtract, divide, and multiply. That's about it.
No. Yeah, it can get tricky for sure.
I can Google, hey, what is this? And it would probably tell you, but
yeah,
I don't know.
No, it can get tricky, that's for sure. Are you going beyond the top 10 in points, or are you just...
If you want to, you can highlight whoever. I know the truck series, I should say, they're very close to starting their playoff season. Xfinity Series, John Hunter Nemechek currently holds the top spot. Austin Hill, Cole Custer, Justin Allgaier, Chandler Smith, Sammy Smith, Jeb Burton, Josh Berry, Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, Daniel Hemrick, and Riley Herbst. Currently, Riley Herbst is sitting on the cutoff line. Parker Kligerman is just below it. Excuse me.
I would like to see Parker Kligerman.
I would love to.
Also, maybe it's just me, and I'm not downgrading him at all. But I really thought that Josh Berry would have a little bit better of a season than he's had as far as wins go.
Yeah.
He's only got one, I think. No. He has one stage win. Yeah, no wins. Where is he? No wins. One stage win.
Yeah.
I thought for sure.
I don't know, though. He's going to NASCAR. He's like, why do I care?
That's true.
I know that's not what he's thinking, but also, allegedly, because I haven't watched the episode yet, but allegedly Dale Jr. is talking about maybe getting Jeffrey Earnhardt to fill the 8 car next season.
Really?
That's what I've been hearing. I haven't watched the episode yet, so I don't know if that's what's said, so don't hold that against me.
That'd be interesting.
It'd be interesting. Also, there is some speculation going on. Is it going to be Carson Hocevar? Is it going to be Quapple? It's going to be interesting to see.
There's
who fills that car.
no way Carson's not going to JRM next year. There's no way he's not going.
Oh, I definitely think. I think right now, if I had to pick between who I think would fill that seat, it's going to be Carson.
Based off of the stuff I see Carson post on Twitter, just the subtle little things.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm like, there's no way that he's not going.
It would be shocking if it wasn't him. With, like you said, Kelly has posted things on Twitter. Junior has posted things on Twitter. Carson has posted things on Twitter. I agree. I think it will be him, but I don't know. It would be shocking if it wasn't.
Right.
But I love silly season.
I do too.
I'll let
Is
you
there
take
anybody that's not in the top here that you are surprised? Minus Parker Kligerman, because they're very close.
I don't think so. Brandon Jones.
Where's he at?
He's currently
15th.
Yeah. I would say Brandon Jones is probably the one that shocks me the most.
This is his first year with JRM, correct?
Yes.
So I say give that another year, and he'll probably have it figured out.
Yeah. I think JRM has been in a don't come at me. I love Junior Motorsports, but there has been this past year, maybe last 2 years, they've been in a weird bind.
I don't know if it's...
It's just not a great season.
I think after Noah left, it's kind of been like...
I mean, obviously
so.
they're rebuilding, but, you know, was it this season or last where it was like they had probably a lot of tense competition meetings because just the teamwork was not there.
But it blows my mind that, so like obviously Noah was having success, and at the same time Josh Berry was having some success. Well, now Noah's gone, so you're like, okay, Josh Berry's going to pick up some of the slack, and now Josh has no wins.
Right.
So I think that's maybe where that expectation from me was coming from. I don't know if that's a realistic expectation, but it's just like, you know what I mean? Josh Berry was winning races when he wasn't even running an Xfinity car full time.
Right.
And now he is doing it full time, and I don't know.
It's just not been his season. But I mean, that's going to happen where it's like drivers are going to have down seasons. Chase Elliott is having a rough season. But
he also did break his leg and was out.
Yeah. But I mean,
suspended for a race.
Yeah. But I mean, still, it's just, you're going to get drivers that are going to have bad seasons or down seasons. But I don't know. I think Junior Motorsports will rebound from it all and whatnot. But it's just, to me, it seems like it's been a weird 2 seasons.
Yeah.
For them.
Moving on to Cup. William Byron leads the points, followed by Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Ross Chastain, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano. Are these out of order?
I don't think so.
They sure are.
Are they? Hey, this came straight from NASCAR.
Look at the numbers.
Oh, well, these drivers have locked in, though. So, Byron, Busch, Truex, Chastain.
Okay, sorry.
Larson, Denny, Bell.
Okay, well, I'll read them in order for the top 10. So, first we have William Byron. Second, Martin Truex. Third, Kyle Busch. 4th, Christopher Bell. 5th, Ross Chastain. 6th, Denny Hamlin. 7th, Ryan Blaney. 8th, Kyle Larson. 9th, Kevin Harvick. And 10th, Joey Logano. Other drivers that have locked in, Chris Buescher, Brad Keselowski, Tyler Reddick, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Daniel Suarez, and is Michael McDowell locked in?
They're not locked in.
He's above the line. Okay.
They're above the cutoff line with points. Bubba Wallace is just sitting right below the cutoff line. AJ Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs, Austin Cindric, Justin Haley, Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott. Which I know Chase Elliott has a mathematical.
It's like average
path
of
to get
29
there.
point something points per race from here on out.
And he's above that average.
No, I think it's 27, and he
he's
averages
yeah.
29.
Yep. So it's still possible, but with 11 drivers already locked in, it's going to be tough to fill the final 5.
He basically, the surefire way is just win a race.
Yes.
I say just win a race, but
I would, I've had Ty Gibbs is an interesting character, interesting driver. I used to not like him. I think I'm starting to like him. I think I'm a fan.
once he got figured out some of his, hey, I can't do this mentality.
Yeah.
He's very much more likable.
I think he's matured a lot.
Kyle Busch is a lot more likable to me now.
Yes.
A lot.
But he also rebranded. I agree.
He did,
though.
but
I do like this version of Kyle Busch more than the previous. Let's see. Alex Bowman, Chase Elliott.
Sorry to interrupt. I loved how Denny Hamlin's car looked at Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah. Who else? Yeah, I don't know.
Another thing is Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski work insanely well together.
Yes.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Especially at like plate tracks. They're very good with one another.
Yeah.
Very good.
I really do wish Brad would have won that race, though. Or Kevin. Kevin didn't have a... I don't know.
He got
spun at
he
one
got
point.
clipped by Denny, and it sent him down towards the infield.
Yeah. I hope he does win a race this season, though. It'd be nice to get a win before you retire, but yeah, I don't know. Playoffs are very interesting right now. Moving on to some dirt news. As I said earlier, I'm trying to expand the range of topics. Brady Bacon scores 50 wins. Following his win at Lincoln Park Speedway on July 3rd, Brady Bacon became the third driver to ever score 50 USAC AMSOIL Sprint Car Championship feature event wins. Before Bacon, Tom Bigelow was the first driver to hit this milestone following a win at Winchester Speedway in 1980. The second driver to reach win number 50 was Dave Darlin after a win at Terre Haute Action Track in 2014. Bigger picture, Bacon currently holds third in all-time USAC National Sprint Car wins, 1 behind Bigelow and 12 behind Darlin's 61 victories. 62 victories, I should say. Brady Bacon has just been dominant these last couple of nights.
There for a while, I thought maybe he was on the downhill slope, but
yeah,
he was just in a slump.
Yep.
So I think Brady's always going to have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never really kept up with him that much, which is unfortunate considering now that I know he plays a big role in like Winchester Speedway and stuff like that.
Right.
Which is very cool. I don't know. He seems like a cool, good guy.
Yeah.
I would like to meet him.
I would like to meet a lot of guys.
Have a conversation with him.
Yeah.
I say meet him like he's some NBA superstar that's not reachable, but I'm not saying he's not a superstar. But you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think conversing with him is a lot easier than say, hey, I want to go talk to LeBron James.
It might be easier than getting a shout out for being a sponsor. I get what you're saying.
Sure. Yep. Moving on. USAC AMSOIL National Sprint Car Championship Series at Macon. The series raced back-to-back at Macon, where Mitchell Moles grabbed the win on the first night, followed by Carson Garrett, Kyle Cummins, Max Adams, and KTJ. Brady Bacon scored the win on the second night, followed by CJ Leary, Kyle Cummins, Mitchell Moles, and Logan Seavey. The series will be back in action on July 21st, where they will compete at Gas City I-69 Speedway. Hot laps are scheduled for 6:30, and you can tune into all the action on Flow Racing.
All right. I wanted to add this next topic in because we kind of touched base on it, not on the podcast, but we talked about it in private, and it comes down to these tracks. People move in these people farms where they build all these housing additions. Before Circle City, the biggest one in news was Cletus McFarland's track. I guess Brownstown, I think it was, or Bloomington, one of those two. Now they're starting to have this issue too. But Circle City, there's been some noise complaints. There was an emergency meeting. So I want to talk about that for a minute. So recently, people living near the Marion County Fairgrounds, home to Circle City Raceway, have turned up the volume of their noise complaints. See what I did there? Looking back to 2021, when the track was first built, residents spoke out against the noise. Moving forward to January of this year, lawmakers introduced legislation that would have required the fairgrounds to build noise barriers if they were to host more than 5 races per season. Courtesy of WTHR, who wrote a story about this matter. They spoke to a local resident who said, "We all knew when we moved in, 10 days out of the year, it was going to be a little noisy. It was going to be more traffic. We all knew that because we were moving next to the fairgrounds. But we didn't sign up for this." Keep that in mind. We knew about this. It's also like Nashville Fairground Speedway having to deal with people's dog shit on the floor. Tough shit. You moved next to a racetrack. Indiana legislator Mitch Gore was one of the legislators who had sponsored this bill, saying, "I think the fairgrounds needs to remember while they do this that they also need to be good neighbors." The resident interviewed for the article went on to say, "I hope the bill goes somewhere so she and her neighbors won't have to when they want to escape the noise." In recent months, the outcry has reignited, and there was an emergency meeting. According to individuals who attended this meeting, many said that this meeting was allegedly not well prepared. It was one-sided. Many were not allowed to speak during public comment, and one individual even said that there were not many people there in support of shutting down the track. Not else has been shared on this matter, but I did scroll through Facebook trying to get some information about this, and there is one very loud person, and I would like to read what she posted. So on April 26th, she posted, "So apparently not only do we have to be subjected to racing on the weekends in our residential, in all caps, neighborhood, but Wednesday race car practices too? Oh, and apparently it's a campground too. Who knew?" Shut the f*** up.
First off, why are you worried about if it's a campground? Why does it bother you? It's the Marion County Fairgrounds.
You moved there, bitch.
Here's my only argument on the other side. The track's fairly new itself.
Fair.
The fairgrounds were there, but the track was not.
But how many fairgrounds have racetracks?
A few.
I get that you were probably under the assumption that you're only going to get 10 days out of the year. Okay, come on. It's like moving next to Indianapolis Motor Speedway and saying, "I don't like the noise, tear it down." It's like, if you don't like it, move. But she makes that point. She said, "Hey, can you see the dust?" And then tags City of Indianapolis, all of these departments in the government. "Why don't you move here by us and see how long you last in with all this mess you have created for the residents?"
I would love
over
it.
Here by the Marion County Fairgrounds. "Seems right that since you allowed this, you should reap the consequences. Come enjoy the horrendous noise, I should say. We are happy to share. In fact, we might have homes you can buy. Pack your shit and go." I just can't fathom. Granted, I will agree with you. Marion County Fairgrounds, the raceway, was built in 2021. Maybe it could have been communicated better, but you're living next to a racetrack regardless. Okay, let's look at more extreme circumstances, okay? McFarland buys a racetrack and a drag strip. Now you have investment companies, you have all these real estate companies looking to buy land near this track to build homes. And now you want to shut his track down because, oh my God, the noise. People won't want to live here. Okay? You have Nashville Fairground Speedway, which is trying to get a deal with the city and NASCAR to renovate the grounds to host a NASCAR race, which would be phenomenal for their local economy. You have people who are moving in. This track has been here for how many years? Over 100. And now you have people, "We hate the noise." Then don't live there. I don't get it.
Now, I understand it's not, especially in today's economy, it's not the easiest to just pack up and move. However, two things here. You can force them to put up a noise barrier, but it ain't going to do nothing.
Right.
It won't. I'm sorry. What about the noise that comes off the interstate that's literally right next to it?
And that was a point that a lot of people had. If you can put up with the sound of I-70, which runs through your backyard, you can deal with a night of racing every other weekend, every weekend. I don't care. I live how far from 70, and I can still hear it. Noise barriers ain't going to do shit for you. Get over it or move. I don't care how the economy is. I know how the economy is. I have to pay a lot of money to fill up my gas tank. I have to pay a lot of money for goods and services. I get it. But you chose to live there. You know what I mean?
I also can guarantee you, unless you live literally right next to the track, which I don't think there's very many houses that are
I didn't think
right
there
next
was.
to the track, the noise really probably isn't that bad.
I just cannot fathom moving. Granted, Circle City it might be the exception. I couldn't fathom moving next to Nashville Fairgrounds and saying, okay, I hate the noise. I live here now. Turn it off. You're done.
See, that argument, I want to just tell people, shut up. You
I
did
hope
that
your
to
dog's on the floor.
Yes.
I don't care.
Now, I think in the situation with Circle City, it is very different.
Yes.
Just for the simple fact that the track was there after.
Yeah.
Probably most of them lived there. However, what did they do with that ground before? Did they ever do any big things like that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not familiar.
So, I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. People get to a certain age and they just want to about everything.
But you live in Indianapolis. The airplanes fly over you all the time. Are you going to about airplanes?
Airplanes, 70, 465, gunshots.
That's what it's like.
Do you complain about every loud car that rolls down your street? Because
Probably.
it's too loud.
It just, I
Put
don't
some
know.
earplugs in.
I wish we went to that meeting.
Turn your hearing aids down.
Yeah, go to bed, Grandma. I wish we went to that meeting, but seeing what I've seen on Facebook, where all the drama is, it didn't seem like it was a very well put together meeting, and so I don't know if anything's going to come out of this. I know the bill did not pass anything. I don't even think it passed out of committee, and I follow politics pretty regularly. It's just frustrating to me that, like, again, this might be the exception, but going back to Nashville and Cletus's track and all this other stuff, it's like you are moving into this area. It's like people moving out to Mount Lawn and then Mount Lawn having to get shut down because people hate the noise.
It's sad that I'm to a point where we were at the track at 11 o'clock, 11:30 the other night shooting off fireworks. I'm like, oh, I wonder how many noise complaints they're going to get because there's
Right.
shit blowing up. And we're not even in city limits.
Right.
We're way out. But, you know what I mean? Like, you just know there's going to be that one person.
Right.
But no, I don't get it. And then to also complain that it's a campground. Okay, first off, now I know that these people don't know because obviously they're upset that there's a racetrack there, so they don't give a crap.
Right.
But you bring in these late model guys or these sprint car guys, midget guys during Indiana Midget Week, Indiana Sprint Week. They have to camp because if they get done with this race, they have to drive another 4 hours to get to the next track. They're living with their racing rig for the week. They don't get to go home every night and sleep in their bed.
You know, in a past life, I was a carny, and we would travel to set up the fairs and whatnot. And guess what? We had to stay in campers. Mm-hmm. If you're okay with the Marion County Fair every year, they're camping there.
They're not living there.
Right. It's just, I don't know. It's like living next to Clips and being like, I hate the concerts, turn it off. And then, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, you move there. What do you mean? I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it because I know we had talked about it briefly privately, but I guess let us know if you're listening this far. Let us know what your thoughts are on that kind of stuff. Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
But that's all I have for this episode.
I don't think I have anything else either. So, with that being said, hopefully we get our race car issues fixed. We race again in, 2 weeks?
Yep.
So hopefully we have some good luck there.
Looking forward to Red Bud.
Oh, Red Bud's next weekend.
Yep.
I will be there. Maybe we can get a little content to post on our social media, not necessarily just Facebook. But I would love to be in a situation where we could sit and meet with drivers. I don't think Anderson's the most friendly, like the best place to do that. I don't know. I haven't been in the pits at Anderson. But where you have, like Winchester 400, where you have the track walk, you can get out and, you know, maybe if we take a GoPro with us, it's not going to be much, but it's just like, hey, good luck today, yada,
They
yada.
might. I know last year they had the driver autograph session in the pavilion. They might have it again. If we're able to have another episode next week, I'm sure we'll do a pre-race show and post-race show after that. But yeah, I agree. I think I'm going to try to take the cameras and see what we can get.
I saw a post, asking about what people were thinking that the driver count or the.
I saw that.
And someone said probably about 20 to 23. I'm like, there's no way they only get 23 cars out there.
I'd be shocked. I think the ASA series has done very well this season, and I think they will be able to bring more cars this year around. I don't remember how many there were last year. Granted, after about halfway, there was only like 5 left.
The race kind of wasn't great last year,
Yeah.
which sucked because I had Chance come all the way up here from Fort Branch to be like, hey, you got to watch this race. And then I was like, I'm sorry that I made you come up here for that.
Yeah. He's like, where's the push cars? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I needed a push car Saturday.
Yeah. We had a very rough Saturday, but we'll try to get content. Really looking forward to Winchester. I really hope we can do something big this year. But I don't know. We'll see.
We should probably start looking into that now.
Yes.
So we can have it organized.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I'll get on that as soon as I get over all my complaints that I have.
But anyway, that's all I have. Sorry for the long gap in between episodes. Like I said, we got busy with life, race cars, and other things. So hopefully we can get kind of back on a schedule, stay out of trouble on the racetrack. That way we have very minimal things to fix, tweak, so on and so forth, so that we can spend some time making some episodes. So with that, we'll see you on the next one.